My name's Kayla, this is Cinnamon the Score Bunny, this is Nimmy the cat again, because apparently he likes being in my videos now. And today I'm going to be breaking down the map of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, putting this video together was a roller coaster, so I'm going to take you guys through all of the different things that I discovered in this process. And in the end, we should have a pretty good map analysis in terms of where all of these different clips are located in the region. Okay, so the first thing I did when I was researching for this video was I looked for a map of both Spain and Portugal, aka the Iberian Peninsula. Shout out to my friend Jonny, who made a video breaking down all of the references based on this post from this guy, Antonio D'Amico. Antonio D'Amico is from Spain, and so he was able to give a full breakdown of a lot of the different areas that we see and some of the cultural references as well. Highly recommend checking out that tweet and also checking out Johnny's video for more information. So the next thing I did was look at the two shots of the map that we see in the trailer. Now, we never see the full map from these two shots, but we can use the boxes and the label at the bottom to kind of piece these two together, figuring that the label at the bottom is probably in the center of the map. I started this analysis assuming that, of course, Portugal would be included, but after I started lining things up, it looked a little bit off. First thing you'll notice is that the blue markers from the in-game map don't really match up well with cities in real life when Portugal was included. You'll also notice that the terrain looks a little bit mismatched. Because I'm a map person, I prioritize the terrain in cities, and so that led me to believe that Portugal wouldn't actually be included in these games. From this map, you can see that the cities seem to match up better when Portugal was excluded, and also the terrain matches better with what we see in Google Maps. Noticing this made me really confused and really sad because, like, Portugal deserves representation in Pokemon, and it seemed like they were just cutting it completely out, and I was like, is this for real? Like, is this real life? So I posted on YouTube and Twitter a picture of the map without Portugal, thinking, like, what are you guys' opinions on this? Like, this can't be real, right? Like, there has to be Portugal in this game. Like, this seems really weird. And fortunately, the people of Twitter came through with evidence that Portugal is definitely going to be in these games. Shout out to Obrigada Jim. You can follow him on Twitter at Pedro Miguelfa. The screenshot is in Portuguese, so if you guys don't read that language, you might have a little trouble reading this, but if you're familiar with Spanish or French or some other similar languages, you might be able to get by like I was. In this screenshot, it shows a part from the Pokemon anime where it says, here is where the ground type ends and the water type begins. This is a translation from Cabo da Roca, which is a spot that is very, very far west in Portugal. Excuse my pronunciation because I speak Spanish, not Portuguese, but it says onde a terra se acaba e o mar começa, which means where the earth ends and the sea begins. This location was featured in the anime, and we even see the lighthouse, which shows up later in the trailer. So it's basically confirmed that Portugal is definitely going to be in these games. But that definitely means something weird for the map. I went back to my original map that did include Portugal, and I put in the lines that match up with the map from the games. You'll notice, as I said earlier, that the cities don't match up, so I was like, what is going on? I went back to my Google Earth map to look more at the terrain and see if maybe things have just kind of shifted around a little bit. And ta-da! When you're looking at the terrain and where the cities are in relationship to the terrain, you just have to move them around a little bit, and they actually match up pretty well. Like Salamanca, for example, is below that arid area, so we just take it and put it where it is based on the terrain, not where it is based on the map. Same thing with Seville, which is closer to the arid areas on Google Maps, so it makes sense that it's just a little bit north. This is gonna have some implications for the city that we see in the trailer, but I'm gonna go into that in a little bit. We're gonna start with the player character's hometown, which is probably based on Volo, which is located in the bottom left corner of the map. This makes sense because it will place us very far from major cities like Madrid and Barcelona. It also fits well with what we're seeing because the water seems to be all around the area where the player character lives, and if it's in this corner, that makes a lot of sense. Also, I want to point out that the house with the purple roof that we see that's kind of like across from the player character's house, it is this house that has the Dratini fountain. Like, there's a little bit of a wall that's kind of blocking where you would see where the Dratini fountain is. You can see that wall right here, but it is the same house. Like, it has the exact same architecture going on, and they both have the water in the background. Okay, now onto the clips of the routes. Now, in order to understand how to place these, you need to really look at the position of the sun and figure out which direction it's moving. Now, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, we know that the sun moved across the sky consistently, and then the moon moved in that exact kind of same pattern. So So we can actually use the sun in order to figure out what direction things are going in. As we know, just like in the real world, in Pokemon, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So we can use that to figure out what direction we're looking at. For example, in this clip, if you watch it really carefully, the sun is moving slightly up, meaning that the sun is rising and we are looking toward the east. Because the sun is rising parallel to the coastline, it is likely that this is the southern beach. However, it could just be an area that kind of juts out in a horizontal way, so it might not be, but it seems kind of likely that this is the south. In this clip, we see that the sun is setting over the water, and since it is, we know that we must be looking west. This makes a lot of sense because we're starting in the southwest corner, so of course we might have like a little bit of beach to the south that we can go to, and then we also have areas to the west that we can go to. These are very likely early routes, so we can probably get these Pokemon pretty quickly in the game. You'll also see that there's a cave here on this route, and then we see this shot of Larvitar in a cave, so it's possible that we might be able to get Larvitar really early in the game, which I am obviously very excited about because I'm kind of a huge fan of Larvitar. The sun is setting over the water here as well, so we know that this is part of that western route. Same with this one here where we see the shot of Lucario. For these next clips, I'm going to kind of work my way backwards from the desert of Tabernas because that's the easily most recognizable feature in these next couple clips. Tabernas is pretty unique for a desert because it is located on the water. We can see the water over here. Unlike in the other shots, it seems like the sun is rising over the water, meaning we're more on the eastern coast in this shot. The clip with the Viper definitely gives me desert vibes, and it seems like we're kind of like moving in the direction of the desert, but again, we can't see the sun, so it's really difficult to determine. And in the clip with Meowth, we only see the moon, but maybe it's kind of like we're going from the clip with Meowth to the clip with the Viper to the desert. It seems like these kind of progress in a logical way. Again, I'm not 100% sure about this. I do know that this is the desert of Tabernas, but I don't know if this progression is the way that I think it is. It's possible that it might be leading to another area, for example, the main city. We see a little bit of the lead up into the main city, so that kind of gives us some hints for placing some other clips. This clip with Psyduck is kind of hard to place, but I speculate that it's probably somewhere in this route as well. Not 100% sure on this one. And then we get to the city, and yes, we are only shown one city in this trailer. It is pulling inspiration from multiple cities. I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. We have some clues as to what city this could be and where it could be, but we don't know for 100% certainty which city this is yet, and I'm going to explain that, don't worry. We can look at the edges of certain clips and see how the city flows together, meaning this is definitely just one city. For example, look at how the buildings here match up with the buildings over here, and the buildings here match up with the buildings over here. We see this plaza leading up to the castle. The castle is in the background, so we know that these two are part of the same city. This plaza is likely based on the Plaza de Mayor, which is located in Madrid. While the plaza is based on an area in Madrid, it seems like the castle is more based on Sagrada Familia, which is in Barcelona. However, if you look at some of the windows, it seems like it's also partly inspired by the Capitol building, which is in Madrid. So is this city supposed to be Madrid, or is it supposed to be Barcelona? Well, if we're judging by the lead up to it, it seems like it's probably Madrid because, you know, Barcelona is located on the coast, and it doesn't really make sense how that looks. But at the same time, Barcelona is more likely to have mountains in the background than Madrid. So we've got two conflicting things going on here. Madrid is located more in central Spain, so if it is there, that means we get to visit the city a little bit earlier, which is pretty exciting because I kind of want to go here like right away. Alternatively, if the city is Barcelona, that would also make a lot of sense since that's like the furthest city from where we started. It's like directly in the opposite corner. So it would make sense that if this is like the Pokemon League or something, for it to be located there. Although since Madrid is the capital, also makes sense for the Pokemon League to be located there. But then again, we did see the final city really early for Sword and Shield, so maybe this is Barcelona? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think this is more like Barcelona or more like Madrid based on the evidence in this video. Give this video a like if you learned something new, and if you enjoy Pokemon analyses, consider subscribing. Bye!